Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of JKL Media Reviews, where we are talking about The Expanse. And today we'll be discussing Paradigm Shift, which is the sixth
Sixth.
episode
Yep.
of season two. And I am really excited to have a discussion with my two besties, Lou, hello,
Hello.
and Jesse, hello.
Hello.
I want to get your quick takes on it, and I think I might skip my quick take on it
Okay.
and jump in. So let's talk about our first thoughts, Jesse.
I it's a reset episode. We're after the big dramatic. Everyone's talking about what's going on and what are next steps. And I really enjoyed it. This is reaching the point where I'm really into the book, quote unquote, of what the series is. And
Hmm.
I keep wanting to go to the next chapter after we do
Right,
this. So yeah,
right.
good stuff.
Okay, Lou.
Yeah, as Jesse said, and the title I think is a bookmark, is that the paradigm shift is a change in direction for the series. Apparently, the previous episode was the last portion of the first book. So we're now into the second book of the series, and we're seeing people doing things that we probably are disappointed about, but that's, I think, is human nature. And people just can't help themselves sometimes. And we also get a semi-comic background about the Epstein drive and how that all came about to be as well. And then there's the whole thing about the protomolecule. Apparently, that missile is not the only source of the protomolecule.
Okay. So I'm going to preface my conversation. It's going to be weird to talk about this one with I am there's parts of this episode that I love, the Christian part, and I do think that there are a lot of dynamics going on that I like. But there are also parts of it that I'm either irritated by or confused by.
Where do you want to
This,
start? Irritated or confused?
yeah, irritated or confused. Okay, and I'm not
That's the name
talking
of a
about
really good band.
it is bad name. I took
Is
it.
it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, irritated and confused.
Oh.
And I'm not saying I'm confused being dumb and not knowing what's happening. I'm
Mhm.
saying confused as why is it here in this episode, essentially.
Anything
Let's
in
talk about,
particular?
yeah, let's talk about the Epstein Drive part of this episode. First of all, I watched this with my husband. I got to preface, I take a drink. I say it every week. And my husband said, because it's been I don't know, like a year since he rewatched it. And so in his head, he has it as a whole, not as a sequence, right? And he said, "Oh, this dumb guy," when he came on. And that might have colored me a little bit. And
Poor Epstein.
I agree, this dumb guy, but he did invent something really important. And here is my confusion over this. He's narrating it, but it's not something that has ever been disseminated, right? So we're just seeing into the event as it happened because he never got like a message out to anyone, right? How did they,
Do
what
we
is the,
know do we know that?
yeah, because he didn't have a phone or anything and he turned off the voice activation in the rocket. So he had no way of getting that message out. That's correct. That's what I take from it, is that he
Yes,
didn't get a message
because
out.
his drive was continuing to accelerate. So by the time anybody figured out what happened to him, he was so far gone that to go after him, what would be the point? Guy's dead.
So I'm
It'd be a
wondering
very
where,
inexpensive burial operation.
yeah.
And who's going to foot the bill? Maybe his wife got when she sold the patent. Maybe she
Okay, wait a minute. I don't know
funded.
that.
I
No,
don't either. I'm just speculating
yeah. And
Okay.
how
because
would she know I mean, if he, I
he
guess,
said she has access to his logs. So
okay,
Yeah,
the
that's great.
notes.
But
Okay.
I'm like, well, okay, so how did they know that it was valuable? I'm not connecting the dots as to how this translates into a drive that they use now. And I understand I haven't seen the next episode, but I'm like, maybe they could have put a little bit more in there
Well,
just
they
to
did a
let
quick
me
shot of the
know.
nuclear missiles and they all had the Epstein drive.
I
I
did see
did see
that,
that,
but
yes.
that doesn't tell me how that translated to how they're using it.
No, I just took it
So
as showing that his wife ended up making a lot of money
okay, all
because
right.
she sold
That
the patent to
the,
everybody.
So,
again, how did we know that?
I'm drawing an inference from it because
Okay,
I can tell you that this is not referenced anymore in the series. So
yeah,
I'm just making
okay.
inferences here. I might be wrong, but
so we're going to assume that because he didn't come back, she ends up going and looking at his files and or can they track him somehow and that ship is so
Like,
far
how does he
away
know? How does she know that?
that it was
So
successful.
well,
there's a lot of
I'm sure Mars has tracking capability. So when they realized he's missing, they must have followed his
check.
flight plan and said, "Holy
And then
shit,
so, shit,
he was
how did he
going
go?
like way faster than we're possible." And then they looked at his
Okay.
logs and saw that, oh,
Okay.
he's invented this new method of propulsion. So
There's just a lot of leaps there that I'm like,
yeah, there is, but
have
I just think
to
I took it as it's a bit tragic, but I took it more as a comic undertone to the
right.
episode. He discovered a drive, but it cost him his life. And
I understand it was played for comedic effect, and I do like that actor. He was in
yeah,
Being Human and
yeah, it was. They named it after Epstein from Welcome Back, Kotter. I don't know.
maybe. But
That's a reach for you non-baby boomers.
welcome back. That's where John Travolta got started, y'all.
Yep.
Just so you know. Mr. Carter. Ooh. Anyway, all the catchphrases we're saying, no one gets it. So that's my trouble with that part of the storyline, and I'm glad you're connecting some dots for me there. But
But
I
that's my
ended up
conjecture.
with,
I have no idea if that's true or not.
yeah, I ended up with what? Yeah, I get that we're translating that into a drive that's used and has helped technology move forward. But a lot of it is, okay, where does that story fit in? So
Well, it
that was,
changed everything. And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it set up the whole Expanse universe the way it is now.
Now, I do understand that.
Right.
That that's not my confusion. My confusion is with where what are the dots in between what happened then and what's going on now? How did that translate into the drive? Because in my mind, he got shot out into space. No one knows what's happening because these logs are not getting sent back to Mars. So there's a lot of guesswork in my mind as to what happened. So anyway,
Okay, here's another food for thought. I'm even when you fly a plane, you have to file a flight plan. So
right,
he has to file a flight plan. So the tracking station on Mars would be able to look at his flight plan and say, "Wow, he's going really
and
fast, like
see how
fast
fast these.
and faster
Okay,
than any spacecraft has ever been able to go." And
right.
they would look at his logs and say, "Oh, he discovered a new propulsion system."
Yeah,
So
I do understand all these things. I
yeah,
just feel like
so
they could have told me that.
that's why I
But
don't think
that,
they thought that was important. They were playing it more for the comedic effect of that he discovered this, but it cost him his life.
all
So
right, maybe it's
that's
just
how
a
I looked at
nit,
it anyhow.
but
And he
to
said
me,
this
I was,
discovery changed everything, and that's
yeah,
all I
yeah,
needed to
yeah.
know. So
And
that's
again, I understand all that. I'm
hmm
just like, okay, am I
you
supposed
just like the
to?
actor.
I do. I like him.
I do the actor, and I am like, I'm now that I know he's not coming back, like I assumed we would see him again and
Right.
there'd be more to the story. At this, if you tell me this is the end of the story, I'm like, I didn't need of the list of things I'm asking how they travel in space is the very least question I ask, because there's impulse and warp drive. Like, I don't
Right.
need to know how that works, just there's the rule.
Right.
And so I am so having to, oh, let's explain where we got the Epstein drive. I wasn't asking for that. I don't
Right.
care. So yes, I am
And
and the
mind
actor
you, I think
is,
it was acted well. I
oh
do
yeah,
agree. It's a cute little
yeah.
put.
Okay, I'll read from the wiki here just to put this to bed. The
Okay.
Epstein drive led to a political and societal paradigm shift and that's where the title obviously of the episode comes from, in the
Yeah.
solar system. Mars at the time was a colony of the UN and Earth was considering squashing down its upstart colony, but instead Mars shared its technology so Earth and Mars could colonize the outer belt and planets together, and for Mars to finally declare its independence as the Martian Congressional Republic in exchange.
Okay.
And it says Solomon died with his ship while still starting into space. Luckily, Solomon saved his engine specs on his wife's computer, which she sold to Mars for a fortune. So,
Okay.
Okay.
so that's
Okay.
the Bible
But
version.
again, that's not said in this episode. So
Well,
there's
yeah,
a lot of
which part wasn't said?
inference
The part about the
that his wife
drive.
sold it. The
He said
Mars tracked him.
he said no, the Mars tracking wasn't there, but he said my wife has a copy of this, so she'll be able to sell it. He says that.
All right.
I
So,
just, once again, and then we'll move on. I don't
Yeah.
know why that's important. I don't care. Okay. Yeah.
I hope I'm not totally off base, but I do feel like there's a lot of jumping that you have to do to understand where that storyline fits in.
Yeah.
That's just me.
it's I don't know. Look at Orville and Wilbur Wright just inventing the airplane, and that changed the world. That this is the same kind of
Yeah,
story.
like I
And
said,
John
I
Ford, the
understand that.
first mass production car.
But
It's the same
I
thing.
understand how those things connected to, I see all the steps there. I know the whole story of Orville and Wilbur Wright. And
All right.
as far as that goes in fiction, I know the whole Cochrane Drive story from Star Trek. We get a
And, but,
beginning, a middle, and an end to that.
but that was a separate movie. It would be like in the middle of Devil in the Dark, they do a scene of Cochrane showing how he made the drive. And it might have made sense if when we meet a Cochrane in that episode. So yeah, I just don't know why they think this needed to be told, because we could have figured out, okay, I don't care how Mars became independent. I just know they are and they hate Earth.
And I wouldn't have been opposed to them telling that story. I love that Sam was in it. As a personal aside,
Yeah,
when I was interviewing celebrities for Nice Girls, I was on a call with him and his co-star. I can't remember her name. She was in Shield. But anyway,
yeah.
I got a couple questions into them and did
Oh, good for
an
you.
article on it, and he was incredibly nice. So yeah, I do have a fondness for him. But like I said, there was just part of it that didn't sit right with me. And I don't know. I think it
Yeah.
was funny and I
Yeah.
think it was acted well.
I think
All
that,
right.
yeah, I think they were just putting a face to the because they kept on talking about the Epstein drive through the whole series. So now we know what the Epstein drive, how it came to be and how it changed everything.
Good.
Okay,
And that's it.
All right.
cool.
Moving on, as
Moving on.
John
Right.
Oliver says.
Yeah. Moving on. Here's our main story. I love John Oliver.
Me too.
So let's move on to the Rossi. Do you want to talk about the Rossi next?
Sure.
You're the boss.
Okay. And here's the part that irritates me, which you already hit on. Not a fan of what Naomi did. And I feel we've been discussing how much they've been gelling over
Mhm.
the last bit. And almost every storyline on the Rossi was them having beefs with each other and grading up against each other, disobedience. And I feel like it's a step back for them. But again, it's an intriguing story. So I don't hate the story. I just am not a fan of what happened on the ship. The whole thing between Alex and Amos, what was that about?
Male pride.
Yeah. I guess. It's not like I identify with that. They didn't have a beef before. Why did they put a beef in for them? And the whole thing with, okay, and I do have to say one part of the story that I loved was when Holden and Naomi came out, quote unquote, and I said, okay, they know
Yeah,
to my
that was funny.
husband before it even happened. I said, they know. And
They
and
not
then
on
I
such a
said,
small vessel.
of course. And then I said, and I bet they made a bet because that's a trope
Yep.
in romance novels is people make a bet as to when the couple gets together. And I was gratified to see that was how it turned out. I thought that was pretty funny and a good scene. I like that they settled that there's not going to be
How did you like the conversation between Miller and Amos? Or
Miller,
Holder and Amos, sorry,
Holden and Amos.
at the very
Oh,
end.
yeah, she's like a sister to me.
Yeah.
And then he says, don't get me wrong. If she wanted to, I'd do her.
Yeah.
I
Jesse
said,
Jesse was probably going, "What?"
No,
yeah,
no, it reminded me of one of my favorite jokes.
Oh, okay, good.
Two guys are talking, and they had gone to a comedy club, and they talked about the first guy finishes the set, and they look at each other and go, "He was pretty funny. Yeah, I really liked his stuff. That was good stuff." So the next comedian comes up, he does his set, and they look at each other and go, "Wow, that guy was even better. I really laughed a lot. Oh, yeah, I loved his stuff." Third comedian comes out that's a woman. She finishes her set. The guy looks over and said, "I'd fuck her."
right.
I'm sorry, that's terrible, but it is
Yeah,
It's funny.
it's funny.
But
ex
again,
It's the world that women live in, right?
yeah,
yes,
exactly. And now that I've
trust
made it,
me.
we got to remember to put us
Implicit
explicit.
tag on.
I forgot to. I was gonna
That's
say,
right.
but
Or
yeah,
we
All
I
could
right.
just
bleep
it
it or
was just
whatever.
so that reminded me of that joke, right? And it fits him so much. I love her, but she's a sister. But oh yeah, I'd do her if she'd let
Right.
me. You know.
So at that point, I turned to Sean and I'm like, dude,
So Amos.
why? Perpetuating the stereotype. Like I said, it's funny.
It is
Um,
funny.
so I want to get your opinion on the thing between Amos and Alex real quick, because that is an incidental thing for me. Jesse, what did you think of that?
So I thought it was very funny that Alex is really enjoying the celebrity of him being this involved in this war and excitement, right? And he's enjoying the bar, and that hot woman is coming onto him and they're everything. And then when things start getting crazy, and I guess that's because her boyfriend, her
Her
pimp,
ex-boyfriend, I
yeah,
think.
whatever, that, and Amos doing what he does, he steps up to protect it. And by the way, to go back to what you just said about them taking step backwards, I think what we've established is they, in a moment of crisis, can forget all their rough edges and the parts of them that don't work together, and they get to be a smooth machine. But during non-crisis times, all those rough edges come out. That is, so they are not a smooth, during a crisis, they're a smooth machine. But in a non-crisis, all the things that give them why they were not, because this was just thrown together, is still there.
Right.
So that's how I read that as
Okay.
that.
At least that storyline, yeah.
Yeah, and so exactly. Yeah, and so I do like him. Like there's people you protect, there's people, and my job's to protect you. And you're being overly sensitive. I've hurt your pride. I do think it's a little disrespectful to take away the moon that's no longer
Yeah.
there. Just, I'm fixing it. That's not funny. I think it's funny every time
Hmm.
I think it. So I think that was, and that's how I look at it. I look at it as these people they have each other's back, but they're not necessarily friends all the time.
Yeah, this is going to be a surprise to you guys.
Yeah.
I think they did Amos a disservice in this episode.
Okay. Please.
They made him look a little dumb. And I
In what way?
prefer defacing the flag in order to rile up Alex so he can punch him. I'm thinking that's what his goal was, to get Alex to punch him and make him feel better.
No, he
Did he
was
really think
he
he was
doesn't.
fixing the flag?
Yeah, he thought it was. It's no
See,
longer
and
that moon is
again,
gone. So he
if
that's
he thinks he,
he's a very black and white guy
right.
in my mind.
Yes.
I don't think he has that kind of level of contemplation about other people's motivations, which is why he was totally at sea with how because Alex was angry at him for stepping in that fight because it hurt his male pride. So the Mars thing is just, yeah, he says that moon's gone, and I just going to fix this flag to make it accurately represent that. And that was just Alex's excuse to unload on Amos.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And again, I feel like that kind of, we don't think Drax is the smartest tool in the shed from Guardians of the Galaxy.
right,
And he has that same level of not getting nuance.
exactly.
And so it makes me feel like they're showing him as a little dumb. And I would prefer they
Um,
don't do that.
yeah, I could see you seeing it the way I think the way I look at that is he just doesn't care about that kind of stuff. That
Yeah. I
just
think,
doesn't, that's not an equation that's part of his mental makeup. Yeah,
yeah.
like he's got very black and white, very
So
defined categories.
he
And
doesn't
if
have any idea that would piss off Alex.
He doesn't
Is
care.
that
he
what you're
doesn't
saying?
care, he just
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
care
on my thought.
So
He doesn't
why
care
is he doing it though?
because he
because
thinks
he's,
it's funny.
oh,
And
He
also,
did say, I think it's
yeah.
funny.
And
yeah,
also very blatantly, I'm just fixing it because that moon's not there anymore.
exactly. Yeah.
I just, to
Yeah.
me, I'm like, okay, dude, be a little sensitive. And why do you go out of your way to do that when you could just leave it alone and not
He
even
just
think
doesn't
about
think
it?
about people's feelings.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
He's a very black and white dude.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes it works and sometimes it's as annoying
Yeah.
as hell.
I don't know if you guys are thinking I'm dumb for
No,
thinking that, but
no,
I
I
don't
just think
know.
that
I just
and I'm not trying to pigeonhole you or stereotype you. I just think you're looking at it from a female perspective. That's all.
okay.
That's
Um,
Amos doesn't care about feelings is the easiest way I can put it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that is telegraphed to me.
Yeah.
I just wonder, why did he even care enough to mess with the flag?
Thought it
Why?
was fun.
Yeah,
And it's true. That moon is gone.
Yeah.
sure. So anyway, that was part of my nit.
Okay.
And then they actually discussed the fact that they followed Holden because they were all on the same page with
Hmm.
this. The whole Naomi thing where she decides to keep the protomolecule and not destroy it when everybody on the crew except for her is saying they want it destroyed. I'm wondering what her motivation is because Holden explains it very well that as long as it's out there, there's a chance that someone will use it in the same way that they used it to exterminate all the life on Eros. And so I'm not understanding what she's not getting about that. Why does she feel like it's valuable to keep that? And she does say to him, we don't know that there's not more out there. Okay, that's a moot point, though, is what Holden says. It's a moot point. We have some that we can destroy. Let's get rid of it. Let's do the right thing here. And Alex and Amos both are on that side. And then Naomi deliberately, and I won't say a lie because she never says, yes, I'll go along with you. She is withholding the way she feels either way.
She
She's
does
just
lie
like,
in a way though, because she runs a simulation that makes Holden think that she did destroy the
right.
rocket.
Yeah. But I feel like she's not overtly saying to him, I agree with you.
Hmm.
You know, she's holding that back. But the fact that she saves the protomolecule, she wasn't even that adamant about it when they hit it in the first place. Holden was the one that said, let's just hide it somewhere. And now he is understanding that this is a terrible thing and they see what it did to Julie. Blatantly, they see what it did to Julie, that it ate her from the inside, essentially, and that it controlled all of Eros. It has this huge power. And I don't know. I think I don't understand Naomi's motivation. So this is another confusing thing for me in this episode. I don't know. Maybe I'm dense, but it irritated me. I'm I feel like if they're using this as a plot point later on, I feel like this might be a little clumsy. That's me. Don't let me color your opinion at all. I feel like I'm really putting some cold water on this
So,
for you guys, but
so Lou, I'd love to hear your thoughts and then I'll give mine.
Okay. So I would say, because I have to tread carefully here,
Sure.
that at this point in the series on my first watch, I felt exactly the same way that you did, Karen.
okay.
And I thought it was a convenient plot point for her to do what she did.
Right.
And I'll leave it at that.
Okay. So I'm not off base here
No,
thinking,
no.
is it down the line? I'm thinking to myself, okay, I know how to watch this TV. If they're going to use it down the line as something to bring up later, why?
Yeah.
Why do it this way? Why not find some other way to do it? Because it's out of character for her. At least that
Hmm.
was my thought.
But it
So
is
go
interesting that there's another storyline that parallels her decision in a way.
the Johnson stuff, right? The Fred
Yes.
Johnson. Okay.
Yes.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, Jesse.
So I thought this was very much in character to her. I think all like Naomi and Holden are both very strong-willed and both will make a tough decision. I thought it was very interesting. They're like, she's saying, you are the captain, though, and their discussion. So I think in her mind, she's going, they're doing this the wrong way. That, and this is a bad decision to not keep this somehow where if we need it, we have it. And better to have and not need than to need and not have. So I thought this was very much, and if we end up never needing this, okay, no harm, no foul. If someone finds us, I'll worry about that problem when it happens. And if we decide, sure would be nice if we have some hand grenades, she'd go, I have hand grenades.
Yeah, okay.
I will say the interesting thing for me out of this is Amos has followed Naomi pretty blindly through the entire series, and he says he goes with her. Yet,
Yeah,
they had the conversation, and he agreed that they should destroy the missile. So that sets up an interesting potential conflict between
Dynamic,
those
right?
characters.
yeah,
Yeah. And again, this is another instance where I feel like she is creating a situation that will probably cause some issues down the line between the people on board the Rossi.
yeah,
So, yeah, I mean that it's a little disappointing for me because I love the Rossi and how they're progressing as a crew and how they're coming together. I have liked very much that they've accepted Holden as the captain of the ship, but they all do still put in their own opinions. I just, I felt like this was a weird choice to make.
okay.
So, again, just me. I'm sorry, you guys.
No, no, this
Um,
is good.
It's good.
okay. So I do love also that Holden sends a message to his mom. I like that we brought that in. And again, we have another humorous line where Naomi says, so how come you don't say bye, mom and
Yes,
dad and mom and
yeah,
dad? Because he comes from a collective. I thought that was pretty funny. And I also do enjoy Naomi and Drummer. They're showing them kind of simpatico with each other. I'm a little
yes.
upset that we didn't get a translation of what they said to each other. It just said speaking in a foreign language or whatever for the closed caption. It would have been nice.
I have mixed emotions about that. One, yes, I agree. I would have liked this scene, but the other is it's cool in a way that you're just going to have to figure out through context going what's that doing.
Yeah,
So,
we understand what they're doing.
yeah.
That in doing that, overall, they're bonding over the fact that they're OPA. We are getting
Yeah.
that. It would have been nice, though, to know what they're saying. So,
Tattoos are a big player
yeah,
on this. Yes,
they
on
are.
neck tattoos. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna drop in here also that Diogo has become the new Holden, and he wants to be that, where Holden was just brought into it by sheer fact that his transmission got out there. I love that Diogo and Alex are both on the same page here, where they're feeding into the whole saviors of the universe thing. And I love that when they come back on, everyone's cheering. And part of me was like, okay, but it wasn't them that did it. It was Miller that did it at the end of the
But they
day.
don't, but the general population doesn't know that.
I guess they're gonna be savior figures, and Diogo is more than happy to be their mouthpiece. I that character makes me laugh. Diogo.
Yep.
Anything to say about that whole thing?
No, I think the main thing to take away from that is Miller is not comfortable with it. And that's goes in line with his personality.
Right.
Miller.
Or Holden, sorry.
Holden.
I get those two guys
Yeah.
mixed up. Holden,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, Holden. I would assume that Miller wouldn't be happy with his face being plastered all over the
No,
walls.
he wouldn't. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love how Diogo is playing up their last conversation too. And he told me to live.
Yeah.
I thought that was great too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, shall we move to Mars now? Are
Sure.
we? Yeah, let's go to Mars because that was a small storyline as well. I want to also talk about Tycho Station. So on Mars, we had Bobby and her team and the commander of the ship, and this is where they didn't want to be patrolling Ganymede, and they thought it was a shit mission, that they were getting the grunt work here, and it turns out that Ganymede really was a pivot point for some reason. We don't know why that is,
And just to be
but
clear, Ganymede is a moon of Jupiter.
Jupiter, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big thing. They showed the eye of Jupiter and all that.
Yep.
So I wonder where we're going with that. We did see that Bobby is apparently the only survivor of that whole thing. Is she the only survivor of that ship?
Yes.
Was that ship blown apart too? Okay, and we see the rail guns again, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And do we know? We don't know why someone
Right.
attacked them, correct?
And
do we know who attacked them?
It's not the UN. It's whatever that alien was that shows up in Bobby's helmet there at the end. We'll discuss that. I'll start with you, Jesse.
Yeah,
I want to do it this way so that we get Lou's perspective afterwards.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting because I wasn't sure why all of a sudden they're attacking. I did know when they said, "Oh, we're going to go dark for a minute. Something bad's going to happen."
Sure.
Where they couldn't talk to them, and you're wondering, at least from me, oh, should I are they going to make a mistake? Are they going to have this issue of the the UN, they're both at this moon, right? And they've divided. It's the neutral zone in Star Trek. So yeah, I like Bobby a lot. And so the idea that I also was very worried when the mask is leaking. Shit, wake up, quick. But
it looks pretty cool, eh?
It does.
It looked really cool.
And we have been shown before that they have like emergency supplies because they
Sure.
fixed the suit with the little
Yeah.
patch. So maybe there's some sort of
Yeah.
patch she can put on that. Yeah, that doesn't confuse me so much because they did show us that they have emergency measures. And I honestly am not confused by the storyline at all. We all thought that there was another force out there because of the people blaming Mars, people blaming the UN,
Yeah.
people blaming the Belters. So it's not hard to assume that there's something else meddling.
Yeah.
And so we see this alien, and it's not shocking to me, but I am rather sad that we lost the rest of our team because they were interesting.
They were.
I'm talking over you guys. I shouldn't be doing that.
You're fine.
Continue, Jesse.
No, I said what I've said. I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And Lou, let's go to you.
Jesse, I'd like to hear a little bit more about what do you think was happening on the surface?
So it appeared that she's seeing other people come, so she assumes it's the United Nations,
Right.
right? And it turns out it may not be. We did not ever get to see a close up, and I am really confused about because we haven't seen aliens yet in this universe, and I am also like I really don't know if I want to see aliens. I
Hmm.
really like this idea that we've got enough crap going on
Hmm.
with all our other factions. So don't know if we need that, but it appears I was convinced till the very last thought that this was something that they were trying to show that someone, and I assumed it was either a part of the UN or something else, was attacking them.
That either Mal put them up to it
Yeah,
or, something was going
yeah,
on.
Okay. What about the
exactly.
alien itself? Any thoughts on
That
that?
Yeah,
I
weird.
have no idea. Just weird. I just feel this is more out of the blue than the drive discussion. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I think your phrase, your choice of words out of the blue is very interesting.
Mm,
Okay.
So I'll just leave it at that.
alrighty.
Okay.
But yeah, it's deliberately set up to be confusing. The initial thoughts are that the first thing to know is that this moon, Ganymede, is shared with the UN and Mars. So it's quite normal for these patrols to be having their boundaries between each other.
Yeah.
But what's confusing in that once they go in the communication blackout and everything's gone to crap is there's drones that are jamming their signals, Bobby signals and that. We don't know who the drones belong to. And why would they be doing that? And why would they be attacking Ganymede
I
first
mean,
place?
right.
And then we see the UN line of soldiers moving towards them, and then at the last second, something else shows up, and that we realize that they weren't running to attack the Mars crews; they were running to get away from whatever was chasing them. And
Oh, I
then,
did not catch that.
okay, yeah, yeah, it might be worth a rewatch of that particular sequence just to get that. And then everybody's pretty well wiped out except Bobby. And then what's going on in space is even to me is more confusing because who's shooting at who? And why are they destroying it? I assume it's a orbital solar platform
Solar,
or something
yeah.
like that. And all those pieces of glass are falling towards the ground over that city. So that can't be good either. And as the episode says, this is a paradigm shift in many, again, in more than one way, because we get the background of the Epstein drive. We're getting characters doing certain actions that we don't understand or are causing a shift in the balance of power. And then we have this bookend, or this, I guess you could almost call it like a cliffhanger sequence where something's going on in Ganymede that it's not making any sense to us. And so it's something new is being launched in the story.
And I'm hoping that it's going to be cohesive with the proto molecule. My husband pissed me off and he said the proto molecule just continues. That story just goes on,
I believe
right?
I said that already. Didn't I
Okay,
say
good.
that it was like the Maltese Falcon of the series? Like
Okay. Yeah, you did. You're right.
what do you call that? What's that word?
MacGuffin.
MacGuffin. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so it just continues on. So do these aliens have anything to do with that? That's intriguing to me, not confusing.
Okay, cool.
I did also like the fact that it's all humans being the factions
Hmm.
show. Aliens don't bother me though. I'm okay with that. And I feel like we did know that there was something else interfering
I think you'll
in
both be
these.
happy with the direction the show goes
Okay, awesome.
Good.
in that.
Maybe these are humans down the road or earlier. And for anyone who plays WoW like me, take a drink. The alien very much looked like Bolivar when he was burned and he became the Lich King. And again, that's my alien language for you guys.
Yeah, that was total Greek to me.
Yeah.
Yes, I was sitting there going, "Oh, okay,
When
yeah."
I first
Or-
saw it, I was like, oh, it's Bolivar.
mm,
But again, that's me and everyone who plays WoW. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is okay, there's two other things. Let's talk about Christian real quick. Christian and Aaron Wright. I love that she threatened him at the end by threatening someone else.
Yeah,
That's what was happening, right? She was saying, I know what you did, and so I can ruin you, but I'm gonna say it by talking about Mao's family. And I thought that was great. It's very much who she is. I do think that, and that look at the door, that last little look at the door, do you get me? Aaron right now is shitting his pants, I think, that now he understands that Christian does know what's happening. He was denying that when Mao confronted him about it. He said, no, Christian doesn't suspect anything. And now he realizes Christian had his number the whole
yeah,
time. So I loved that discussion. And I believe that she could do that. I also enjoyed the conversation she had with the doctor that came on. Turby, Dr. Michael Aturby.
Yep.
I also like that actor very much. He was in a couple episodes of Schitt's Creek as Patrick's father, and there's a whole storyline with him accepting the fact that Patrick is gay, and it was touching to me. When that actor came on, I'm like, oh, it's Patrick's dad. But again, that came after The Expanse. That's just me again, loving a side actor. That's my whole deal, I think.
yeah,
But I love that, and we can tell they share a past, Christian and this doctor, that apparently they might have had a romantic past because he wanted to be a date.
Yep.
So I liked all that. So let's get your thoughts on Christian. I'll start with you, Lou.
In reference to Aturbi, he's there for a purpose, and I think it aligns with hers that he offers to be her ears and eyes on the expedition to Venus, which is interesting because the show doesn't really, this episode doesn't really talk much about what's going on Venus, but apparently something is going on, and they want to find out if the proto-molecule is totally destroyed or not. And their Turby thinks it's something far beyond what the more conventional thinking of the military mind is about it's a weapon that Mars was trying to use or blah, blah, blah. He thinks something bigger is going on and he wants to be there to find out firsthand. I think that because their purposes are mutually aligned, that works out well. The scene between Aaron Wright and Christian was fantastic. I think the actor playing Christian was just amazing in that episode, that scene. And like you, I love the dual threat that even though she's talking about Mao's family, she's talking about Aaron Wright at the same time. And it's interesting, and I'll be really interested to hear Jesse's take on it because this is taking an aspect of the character that I'm pretty sure was rubbing everybody the wrong way in the first season, her ruthlessness, and flipping it on its head and using it for a purpose that we're all aligned with.
I don't know. I liked her ruthlessness in the first season.
Okay. I think Jesse was
No,
ambivalent.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I think I've grown to her. One of the things this reminded me a little bit of the scene in The Godfather where Don Corleone makes peace and then says, "But I still have one more son." And he goes into this, if he I can't remember, if lightning strikes him, I will attack everyone for this. And this, her, I think it was great because, yeah, he thinks he's fooled her. He is confident and cocky
Well
and like,
thought.
yeah, and said, "Hey, I I'm perfectly, Jeff Bezos is fine. This isn't." And then she calls him on his crap without calling him on his crap. At just saying, and so let them know that I will do this. And it's, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah,
Shit.
and she goes into great detail,
Yeah.
which I also love.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
I think she's a smart badass in this
Yes, she
episode.
is. Yes.
Very canny. Okay, Echo Station. And I think this is the last story in this. Lou will chime in if not. I think it was apparent when the UN was discussing where the missiles went. I was like, oh, we know who has those because they even implied when Drummer and why am I getting the names screwed up in my head? Franklin? What's it? Johnson? Fred Johnson.
Yeah.
The Drummer and Johnson discussed, hey, we got all these missiles. We could do what we want with them. So to me, it was like, okay, so Johnson decided to take some of those missiles. And so they have diverted 30 missiles
Yep.
and they're under their control, and Naomi is helping them to make them untrackable. I'm assuming that's what they were doing as well. This is a storyline that was very apparent to me what was going on. I am very much wondering what he's going to do with those because that's a lot of power in his hands. And we know that he's pretty ruthless when it comes to what he thinks is right. And we also know that he's OPA, right? He's very sympathetic to the OPA. And we know that they have been fighting for their independence for a long time, and this would be a way to do it. And I do also like that they have a discussion about can be a deterrent. We don't have to use them. And that's where we are on Earth right now, too, with our nuclear missiles are just a deterrent at this point. But we have them, and I don't like the finger on that button. So let's talk about that. I'll start with you, Jesse.
Yeah, I thought this was very interesting. I did not see that they were the ones when they mentioned that they've self-destruct a lot of missiles. Lou had mentioned that last week. Hey, keep a thought on that. And but I didn't think, oh, there's now missiles they can't find that didn't self-explode. They didn't were able to destruct. Ooh, what's that? And yeah, Fred and his team has this now in their back pocket. Not necessarily, I don't think he's a warmonger and he can't wait to do first strike, though they do discuss this. These are first strike weapons. But I think it's like better to have and not need than to need and not have, as I talked
Hmm.
about already. So I think that was it. I like that they are going to address the Mormons. There was repercussions of them stealing the ship, and it's going to be interesting how he gets out of that. Yeah, he's a complicated character. And so I like the scenes with him and his number one. She's a badass and their relationship together was good. Yeah, I like this. And we've talked about that. What's her name? What's his
Drummer?
second? Yeah, Naomi and Drummer have a really nice connection to each other. So anytime I get them in a scene together, I'm pretty happy.
That's right. Bow, chicka, wow, wow.
Yeah,
I'm
there we go.
sorry.
No, I get it.
Okay.
Uh,
They'd make a very handsome couple. That's all I have to
Yes.
yes, they would. I think it's very pertinent that Jesse says that Drummer and Naomi share a bond And I want to put a lantern on that because I think it
Okay.
goes to the other storyline that we already talked about with Naomi and her decision with the missiles. And the difference between Johnson's decision about keeping missiles and Naomi's decision about keeping her missile is one story arc, we've got the background of the character that makes that decision understandable. Whereas with the other character, we haven't gotten the background, so that makes that
Hmm.
decision a little questionable.
Yeah.
And what I guess we'll have to decide when the time comes is which storyline did we think was done better? And maybe sometimes bigger storylines that get withheld are withheld for a purpose. And maybe because that character plays a bigger part in the story than another character. I'm probably saying too much right now, but
Okay.
that's just the dynamics
It's
of,
something that we can take
yeah,
anyway.
that's just the dynamics of storytelling that I think are going on here right now, and which might be why Karen is a little ambivalent about this episode. And I know she's ambivalent on several aspects, but this might be the one aspect where she's being
The
a little bit,
Naomi thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how that plays out. But yeah, Fred Johnson is he's a realist, and we can see that with his conversation with Holden, where Holden says he wants everybody to be, I'm paraphrasing, but he wants everybody to be honest and open with each other. And Johnson says, that's a wonderful dream, son, but that's not the world that we live in. Holden's still being the idealist, and everybody around him is being the
Pragmatist. Yeah.
pragmatists. So it's an interesting dynamic, and I appreciate it because it's true to the characters that and how they've been established in the stories to this point. Everybody's got their foibles, and we're seeing those being played out in this episode. Where if they were less multi-dimensional characters, they would all be one big happy family, and nobody would be withholding
Sure.
secrets from each other, and the story would basically be over.
And friction is good. I
Yep.
admit that. Friction is
Friction
good.
friction makes pearls, and it makes for
Yeah.
drama.
Yeah.
And you say that Fred is a pragmatist and Holden is an idealist. And I get the impression that Naomi is a little bit of both. She sees things as they are, but I
Hmm.
think she also has ideals.
Yeah, she's a bit of a
Very
romantic. Yeah,
complicated. Yeah.
she's a romantic idealist.
Yeah. But she gets where the world is.
Yeah, she sees gray, and most of the
Yeah.
characters in this story are pretty well black and white.
Okay. You guys have last thoughts about this episode? Either
Uh,
one, both, it doesn't matter.
I think it's a transitional episode, so it's probably, if I was to rank it, I would probably give it maybe a 7.5 missiles, as opposed to all the other episodes where it's been like on a steady build up to a climax. Now we've come down from that climax and we have to start all over again. So it's only natural that we might feel that this episode's a little lesser than the others. But what was the other point I was going to make? I slipped my mind. I'll hopefully it'll come back to me while Jesse's talking.
Okay.
yeah, I thought it was I really enjoyed the episode, was very wanted to go to the next one immediately. Just, oh, this is it just, I'm very involved with this and like it. And so I am really happy where we're going. And I will take Lou on his word that I'm not going to be upset that if we're getting aliens, that it is not a way that's going to irritate me.
You got a rating?
Yeah, I'm going to give this 8 out of 10 new Mars flags.
Oh,
Okay,
nicely done.
that's great. Yeah, and I do think it's telling that I'm into this so much that I'm picking at things that I feel like this episode could have been better because of how much faith I have in the story. And I get it. We're building worlds again in this episode. We're moving on with a different storyline, and so we have to set things up. And I'm glad that you guys could give me some insight into it. I am very much looking forward to the next episode, at the very least, the next episode. and how these things shake out down the line. I want to know more about Bobby. I want to know more about Drummer, sorry.
Yeah.
Especially now that she's alone. How is she gonna fit in? Where is she gonna go? So yeah, I'm happy with it. But I will say this episode in particular, I'm gonna give 7 threats
Mm,
to Aaron.
Okay.
yeah.
I think it was more than 7 threats,
Yeah, okay.
but
Now I remember what I was going to say. I'm loving the episode in the fact that it's setting up a lot of questions, and I'm particularly interested what's going on Venus with the
mhm.
protomolecule, and also what happened on Ganymede with Bobby. And I know that I have already pointed to you guys which characters I think you're going to end up liking the most. And I can say that for this point forward, you're going to see now why I picked those characters for you.
Okay,
Okay,
good.
cool. Cool, cool.
Good.
And
Besides, who doesn't love a name like Drummer?
Yeah.
you
Drummer is a
gotta love
great
it.
name.
You gotta love
Yes.
it, right? And
Yeah, very
Bobby.
much. I dig her a lot. She's also very powerful. Have you noticed the like powerful, assertive woman?
Yep,
Yes.
that's why I picked Drummer for you.
Yeah. And I I completely missed talking about Venus in this, and I think that is also a downfall because I that's intriguing to me, but they downplayed it in this episode so much that I had forgotten they mentioned
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
We'll move on to the next episode, and I'm guessing I'm really gonna love next week's episode because I feel like they did set up a lot of stuff. I'm a little disappointed we don't get more of the Epstein Drive storyline because
You're,
that
you're really hung up on that, aren't you?
he was an idiot. Yeah, a little bit, a little bit. I think it was great for what it was funny and all that, but I would have liked more. That's for sure.
If
And
you're,
I
yeah, if you're going to do this, I would have, like I said, we were beating it. I don't get, I understand why we're mentioning this, but I don't think it was needed.
right.
And this
And
is a show that really is
Yeah,
really good at giving us what we
it just
need.
adds some flavor.
Yeah.
sure.
It's just a little bit of world building.
And they
Yes.
actually cut out a scene that he has with his wife on Mars.
Oh,
And
did
that
they?
would have been, yeah,
Yeah.
that would have been
I
fun.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys dig into these two characters, and plus, I can hardly wait till David Strathairn shows up
Mm,
because
I love
there's
him.
just a lot of salt and pepper going on when he's on the screen.
Oh, nice.
Awesome. He
Yeah,
knows how to choose some scenery.
he sure
That's for
does.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that, I'm gonna throw it to you guys to say where people can find you. Jesse, let's start with you.
I am at Jesse Jackson DFW on most social media. The would love for you to go and Blue Sky, Twitter, all the others, and follow me. You can hear me talking music on Set Lusting Bruce. Just had a really nice episode where one of my favorite writers, Sarah Kafina Goodman,
She's cool.
yeah, she joined me. She's a massive Springsteen fan. That's how I met her. And she talks about why she's doing a lot of her books are about strong Jewish women. She's also made the joke that the books set in the 60s are now considered historical romances,
Hmm.
which we both got a big joke kick out of. She has one coming up this summer set among the Cuban Missile Crisis. I really would check that book. And I think I talked about this last time, but just in case, I was a guest star on the Dis List, which is the Bramble podcast, the same guys who do Deck the Hallmark, where I gave my top 10 80s rock and pop artist and we debated that. So would really appreciate you checking that out and leaving a comment so that the host of them will have me back on again.
I want to say that I agree with you about Sarah
Mhm.
Cofino. I would put her in the league of like a Taylor Jenkins Reid.
That
Of
is that is very high praise because I've
yeah,
yet to read a book by, I love Sarah's work, but
yeah,
yeah, Taylor Jenkins Reid, every book I picked up for her, I have loved.
it's stellar. Yeah. And doing the quote unquote historical stories, Taylor
Yeah.
has a way of doing that. She set some stuff in the 70s and in the 60s. I like that. I like that kind of, and strong women. that are
Yeah.
complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's that. Okay,
Good.
Lou, where can they find you?
They can find me on this YouTube channel, of course, JKL Media Reviews, where we are currently reviewing The Expanse and waiting for the return of Severance and Pluribus. In the interim, we'll be filling in with one-offs of one-run series or movies, books, music. Our current plan for our next one will be next week. We're going to be recording our thoughts on the Edgar Wright version of Stephen King's The Running Man, so that should be something to look forward to. And surprisingly, I haven't watched it yet, but Jesse has. I don't know if Karen's watched it yet either,
Not
but
yet,
not
no.
yet. It'd be interesting to share thoughts on that.
Yeah,
And
I'm
then
I'm really
on
looking forward to that.
Cool. And then on my other YouTube channel, Lou's Reviews, I've got my Stephen King and podcast as well as my writer interviews and are all our archived episodes of the Babylon 5 series, including the animated movie. So go over there. That's a lot of fun stuff there. It's a lot of good discussions and interesting parallel between that series and this one for all of us, I think, because I think Karen and Jesse watched Babylon 5 before they've watched The Expanse, and I think that
Hmm.
was the other way around, which is why our thoughts are probably mirrored in our overall view of that series. And yeah, just interesting stuff to wade through. So hopefully you'll find that enjoyable as well. And on Twitter and X, you can find me at Lou W Sitzma, Sytsma.
Awesome.
Cool.
You can email us this show at jklmediareviews@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. I think our channel needs to get a little more love on YouTube, JKL Media Reviews. We have gotten a lot of traction from the B5 podcast, but I would love to see more people here. So let's think good thoughts there. You can find me on social media at Aliveria, Aleveria, and my blog is alistuff.com. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye to you guys. I'm probably going to talk to these two for a couple minutes before we sign off, but you guys got to get out.
Go watch the next
So
episode of The Expanse.
that's
Yes.
right. So we'll talk to you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye,
Bye bye.
everyone. Yay.
And scene.
The proceeding has been a JKL Media production.